Good morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning, listeners and viewers. Thank you for being here. This is Evelyn Joy Coker, and I am here with Cheyenne, Sophia, and Alyssa for the final episode of the season. I cannot believe that we just started on October, or at least it feels like we just started on October 31st. And now we're at the end of the season. Um, and we're just so grateful that all of you guys have stuck it out with us, that you have joined us from week to week and engaged us. Um, it's just been such a delight to do this with these young ladies and all of you that have supported us as well. So today we will be talking about getting unstuck. But before we jump into our topic, I just want to check in with my ladies and see how you all feeling. How are you guys?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, Sophia, you're
Yeah.
okay. Cheyenne, what about you?
I'm all right.
Just all right.
Yeah, I heard some bad news last night. There was a tragic car crash with two Hartford teens. I didn't know them, but that's like making me a little moody. I feel bad. So,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you
yeah,
for sharing, and thank you for just being present enough to own your feelings right now.
right.
Um, just please let us know how we can support you.
Thank you.
Alyssa, how you doing, my love?
I'm all right.
Yeah, everybody just all right. And I have to be honest, I'm not feeling well today, but we are here. And we're just gonna continue to share our truths. Everybody doesn't have a good day every day. And that's just the truth. But it's about how we decide to show up and what we do that can make the difference. And so um I think that kind of actually guides us into our topic, what we're going to talk about today, which is getting unstuck, but first you got to, I guess, be in a stuck place before you can get out of it, right? So when you guys think about, or when you hear me say, getting unstuck, what does stuck mean to you guys? What does that look like to you all?
I think it means like you can't do much or like you can't help yourself or you're in a really bad place. And you're trying to get out, but nothing's working in the moment.
Trying to get out and nothing's working in the moment. Yeah.
For me, my version of stuck. Sorry. It's just being unmotivated is where I find myself a lot lately, and yeah, just not having motivation, like Cheyenne said, is just trying to be able to get up and do things. It just makes it 10 times harder.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. I feel like being stuck in a situation is kind of like feeling helpless. I actually been learning about that in psychology for school. Uh, Helpless is like it's not a disorder, but it's something that a lot of people feel, and I think it got a lot to do with motivation or just feeling like there's nothing else you can do, but kind of be hopeful, I guess.
Why do you guys think it's important um, to talk about this after everything that we've talked about this entire season? The different topics from, self esteem, friendships, relationships, mother daughter relationships. Why do you think it's important to talk about this now as we wrap up the season?
I feel like it's important because you can get stuck in a number of ways. There's no like specific rhyme or reason, or I don't even know how to put it, but and I feel like a lot of people can relate, especially like teenagers, because you can be stuck in different capacities. It could be like a physical or a mental, emotional, or maybe you see someone as competition and now you're feeling stuck. So that's how I see it.
That competition. You about to make me get a post-it. Okay.
I think why it's so important that we talk about it now is because in all those podcasts that we done had so far, we tend to feel helpless in those type of situations with our moms, bullying, in relationships and stuff like that. It's a lot of times when those relationships feel like we we're stuck and there's nothing else we can do about it. And I think talking about this right now would benefit a lot of teens and a lot of women in general feeling helping to find a way to get unstuck.
Mm-hmm. Sophia, you got any thoughts?
I think right now that we talk about it has to do with our environment in the world at this moment, especially with being stuck at home. There's not really much you could do to try and change the situation that you're in. Like if your house is toxic, it's kind of hard to work on your relationship with your mom, especially if you can't get out of the house and like take a minute to yourself, take a walk, and or if you're very depressed and you need a change of scenery, it's kind of hard to bring yourself out of it. And to have a podcast where you see women who also relate to your situation, I think it can help teens motivate themselves and like, oh, well, I'm not the only one going through this right now. There's a lot of people going through a lot of depression and unmotivation, and to see that they're not the only one in this situation, I think is very helpful.
Very good. All of you guys pretty much summed it up. For me, it was kind of twofold, right? So the first thing is we have had a variety of different young ladies come and share their stories, but we're recognizing that these are individuals who have come to share their truths, and that while there's a lot we can relate with as far as the different stories that the teens have shared, we all still have different situations, right? And so we try to, share our stories. We try to uplift and, encourage everybody. But the truth is, like, Sophia said, and Alyssa, sometimes, you don't know what to do, or sometimes it's hard to come out of a situation when you're dealing with circumstances like this, where, you can't necessarily escape the environment and things like that. So it's to acknowledge that even though during this time we've tried to give other teenagers, skills to get through situations, sometimes you may have tried them all and you feel like you're still not making movement, or you just may literally feel stuck in a situation. And I wanted to make sure that we provided space to acknowledge that. But another piece for me that started this week, actually, I have to be honest, I have felt stuck. I am trying to get unstuck right now. And it's been very important to me. And Cheyenne and I have had private conversations about this, that I'm not a hypocrite in what I'm trying to teach you guys. And so it's one thing for me to say to you guys every week, do this or try this. And I know I'm not trying it myself. And you guys would never know that if I didn't tell you. But there have been things between Cheyenne and I, conversations that we've had. And, I may have been going through something and I will literally think about her. And I would think about either things I have said to her or things that I would say to her. And I would have to challenge myself. Okay, well, Joy is my self-talk name. Are you doing that? And I even had to have reminders this week from my aunts about that as well, and them not even knowing about those private conversations that Cheyenne and I have had. So it's important for me to model in real time and talk about things with you guys in real time, because one day you guys will be adult women. Well, I mean, I know y'all 18 and all. So I'm not trying to knock your okay, growth, but you will be adulting, as a near 40-year-old woman. And, these are things when I talk about get lit and the lit being learning intentional tools. Like these are really things that I want you guys to learn and put into practice. So when you do get stuck, because, we all find ourselves in those places, you have the skills to pull yourself out quickly. And then you're also able to model to other young ladies, in your lives as well. So I'm glad that we're all kind of on the same page about why, it's important to, you know, talk about, being stuck. Another area that I felt just kind of stuck in this week was centered around the events that happened in the Capitol. I just felt like, I start to think about, well, how would you have been if you were alive during Jim Crow and the civil rights? I try to fantasize about all of these ways I think I may have been or may have reacted or may have contributed to civil rights. But then on the other hand, I don't know. And like on Wednesday, I felt stuck about what's happening in the world, trying to figure out my place and how I can help and things like that. And so again, environment, world issues, a lot of different things can contribute to a person feeling stuck. And so I wanted you guys to kind of talk about, Sophia, you gave a really good example pertaining to like the mother-daughter relationship, but I wanted to know if you guys feel comfortable, talking honestly about areas that you may feel stuck in your lives right now or felt stuck in the past. And Alyssa, I saw you give us a facial expression. So tell us what's going on with you there.
I mean, personally, right now, my main one is dealing with school because it's two things. First off, I got accepted to my dream school, Howard, but everyone's telling me that like my mom's financial aid isn't good enough for them to give me enough money. Basically, they're saying she make too much money, which I don't see, But in my eyes, I don't see it. I feel like, I still need help paying for college. And it's like, I don't work so hard to get there. And y'all telling me I can't get in because I ain't got enough money, and dealing with my academics in school right now. I think my problem was like the past months, I was so focused on trying to get into colleges and colleges. I wasn't really focusing on my grades like that. And it's like right now I'm kind of so behind on so much stuff. It's manageable to get there, but it's just that means I gotta go even harder, which is, kind of hard for me right now, especially since I started my new job. And then it's a little relationship between me and my mama. It's like I'm a kid and everything, but I am growing up and I kind of want to see my mama either trust me or show a little more respect that I'm kind of getting older, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand I'm your child. I stand in the child's place. I get that, but it be sometimes where I feel like she don't see me as of adult. No, I'm not an adult though. Like, I don't pay no bills, but
I mean, you're growing up. You're developing into a young woman. Can you give us like an example of something where you feel like your mom doesn't acknowledge that you're growing?
Relationships wise, like for me personally, when it comes to relationships, I'll tell my mother everything about relationships. Like it was one little small incident, but it wasn't nothing huge, but it's nothing I've never not told my mother about a relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's like at this point, I feel like you can trust me on the decisions I make. I understand you don't trust other people, but just trust that I'm not doing something stupid. You know what I mean? And trust my decisions. And I feel like she don't trust my decisions, especially when it come like right now. I can't light a candle in my room because I left on one when I fell asleep, and she came in my room cussing me out And it's like, just, she don't want her house burned down. So it's like, just chill, trust. I'm not doing nothing stupid. I've never set anything on fire in my life. Okay. So just kind of, just trust. That's honest. I feel like she don't trust me enough, and I've never given her a reason. I get good grades. I stay in school. I stay in the house all the time. And it's like, I don't see any reason why she don't trust me. You know what I mean? Or why she can't understand that I'm getting older and give me a little space, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk to each other, ladies. Cheyenne, I see them faces going.
I can totally relate to Alyssa's situation. Literally, living in my mom's house was basically that. It felt like I had to fight in order to be seen as not as little Cheyenne, but like, older Cheyenne, bigger Cheyenne. And like all the time, me and my mom would butt heads. She would ask me, "Are you grown?" I'm like, "I'm getting there. Like, I'm 17, turning 18. You think you can still treat me like a 6-year-old? I'm only getting older. You taught me how to be responsible, and I'm using the tools and the resources you gave me, but you still don't trust me. For what? How much more of myself do I have to prove to you?" So that would get me ticked off. But right now, I'm on my own, so I'm grown. So hey, and I pay bills.
Some I don't do.
Yeah, I could definitely relate with the whole can't light a candle in my room. I can't do that either. My mom will not let me buy candles, not let me touch candles, but my younger sister has all these candles in her room, and I'm like, she's 2 years younger than me. That was one of my big arguments with my mom the other day, actually. But yeah, I mean, I can relate with the trust issues between me and my mom. She doesn't always trust my judgment, but at the same time, she's like, you know what? I've given up with you, so whatever you do. You got to be able to fix it. She goes, you want to go out, you want to party, you want to do this. Remember, everything's gonna affect you. And so my mom, she kind of just, I don't want to say she's given up on me, but at this point, she's like, whatever. She kind of just brushes everything off. It was a constant battle between me and her, especially when I was working. My grades have dropped because they were already C's and D's. I wasn't very academically motivated. And my father really didn't help with that either. He kind of just was like, "Oh, you don't try hard enough. You're just not trying, and instead of going to work, maybe you should pick up a book because obviously you don't know what you're doing." And I'm like, so it's I constantly had that criticism at me, and my mom constantly telling me, you act like you know what you're doing, and my dad says, you say you know this, but you don't know anything. But I basically raised my younger sister because my dad would every summer would up and leave us. We didn't have money for food. I didn't have a phone until end of middle school. So it's kind of like I raised myself and my sister because my mom was working. And so when she'd come home, she'd be like, we're 7, 8 years old. She's like, where's your dad? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't have a phone. I don't know his number, but I ordered pizza. Celia ate. I took her to the park. Don't worry about it. I brought my knife because we had little pocket knives. I brought my knife. You don't gotta worry about me. And she would constantly be like, "Oh, okay," but now she's like, "Oh, you want to go to Chicago? You want to go downtown? No, you're not going downtown. You're 18, Sofia. You're not going downtown." I'm like, I'm 18.
So you feel like she's more protective now?
I feel like she's more. I don't even think it's protective because she gets very argumentative with me, and it's like, if you want to be protective, where was that when I was a child? And it's like there's no point in doing it now because now you're just breaking our relationship because it's like if that's what you wanted to do, you should have done that since I was a kid. I shouldn't have had to grow up so fast, having to raise my younger sister and having to basically not fend for myself because I had what I needed. But it's like I said, my dad left us alone. He would leave the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd wake up and it'd just be us two in the house. And sometimes he would even forget to close the door, to lock the door. So it's like anybody could have been in my house at this point. And I'd have to wake up. I'd be like, man, now I gotta check the house. I'd lock my sister in her room. I'd say, look, don't open the door. I'm gonna go check the house. I'll be back. And it's like when you're 7, 8 years old doing this, it's like
Wow.
you kind of grow up on your own. You don't really need a parent. I learned how to cook on my own. I just by making messes in the kitchen, but I mean, I learned how to cook on my own. I don't, it's like I didn't really need you guys growing up. Don't don't treat me like you raised me so well, like I need you.
So
And
how does this relate to you feeling stuck now? Or is this a place that you feel stuck?
it is kind of a place where I feel stuck because it's like my mom doesn't trust me to make good decisions. But then it's like, okay, when I finally decide to ask for your help, you're like, I don't know, man, it's your life, your decisions. So it's like, I'm looking
That ambivalence can be confusing, I suppose.
and it's like I'm looking to you for help, but at the same time you shoot me down every time I try to go and do something and be adventurous and try to, get my old self back. And it's like you let my younger sister go out, go with friends, and she's like, well, your sister's not smoking and drinking every time she goes out. Like I'm not either.
Wow.
I quit that. My sister has done things and she has told you about it. And yet she's still allowed to go out. You want to use my addiction that I had against me, and yeah, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make me feel like I can come tell you things. And then
What have you tried
huh?
to do? What have you tried to do as far as getting yourself unstuck in this area?
I've tried talking to my mom and telling her, like I don't really see why you have to bring up things that I've done in my past that I came to you about because I felt like you needed to know. I don't feel like throwing that back in my face is really making me feel like, like I could do better. And she'd be like, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to, she goes, I don't throw it in your face. I don't do that to you. I'm like, well, that's how you make me feel. She goes, well, I don't do that. I'm not that type of mother. Well, you kind of are. Like I'm trying to talk to you. Can you please take some responsibility? It's like I know I screwed up in my past, but I'm trying to do better. But you keep throwing it in my face, and that's not really helping me right now. Yeah. She's like, well, I tried to help you. I took you to counseling. I did this, and that. I'm like, okay, but I don't need you to throw it in my face.
Sophia, let me read 2 comments and then we can continue. The first one is parents from Olandra. Hey, Olandra, she was one of our guests. Parents make mistakes as well. They change and evolve and become different people. We have to be open to hearing people out and then let those responses be how you deal with them. So I think that that's an excellent comment that kind of ties into some things we talked about before about how parents, aren't perfect beings and that they make mistakes and it also kind of leads to something that I wanted to talk to you guys about as far as getting unstuck. When you find yourself in situations with people that you've expressed your feelings to, that you've tried to come to mutual understandings and it doesn't work, how do you move forward? And a big part of that is you deciding how you govern your own behavior and no longer looking to blame or just give any more credence to a person's influence on your behavior, and just taking ownership of it, because we're talking about also how you guys are excuse me, growing up, like 18, and whether you consider yourself grown all the way or grown just a little bit, you are growing into womanhood. And while we can acknowledge certain influences in our lives, it's not a good look to just grow up and just be old than a mug, whatever old means to you, because Cheyenne says she getting old and she's 19. But blaming how you act now on the behavior of somebody from so and so years ago. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's just important to also think about, but still remembering that parents are not perfect, and whether they ever admit it to you or not, we just have to accept that we don't have perfect parents, because there's not a perfect person out there. Another comment that we got in is, as a parent, it's tough to let our babies grow up. Parents will give leeway, but if something happens where that trust is broken, they feel like they have to check up on you until they fully feel you can handle what's going on in the world. But sometimes it's the parent. They may be concerned if they have taught you enough or all you need to handle the pressures in the world. So understand it may not always be you. Parents are human and also learning. Sometimes parents may not get it right. I can personally relate to that as a parent who has, contributed to parenting Olandra, who made a comment. I wonder a lot, even though she's well in her 20s. Did I teach her enough? Did I teach her the right thing? What do I need to go back and revisit? Is she open to me revisiting certain things? You know what I'm saying? So even when you turn 18, even when you go to college, even when you get married, have kids, the parenting doesn't stop.
Right.
Your parent is always thinking of you as their baby, but healthy parent-child relationships demonstrate that the parent is acknowledging that their child is going through the different life cycle stages of the life cycle, and they're no longer the child that they're rearing in their household. Another comment we had is that my dad raised me and his children to be independent. I worked hard to succeed at that. Dad expressed disappointment when I didn't ask him for anything. Thank goodness I didn't. I needed my dad without a doubt. He recognized certain needs have been met. Parents do fear losing their children. So, just wanted to read those comments, and hopefully even with the comment that I gave as well, you all can try to hold perspective of your parents. I'm not gonna lie, Alyssa and Sophia, when y'all started talking about them candles, as a homeowner, okay, Cheyenne, you paying your own rent. I thought about, that's dangerous, and it's and a lot of times with parents, it's not that we think you all are intentionally trying to do anything. Accidents happen, and so you fell asleep with the candle on. It's a possibility that could happen again. It's a possibility your mama could fall asleep with a candle on. You know what I'm saying? But, as adults, when, and then when you have your own things, you just think about things differently.
That's true.
So I'm not saying you should light a candle or not. I'm just trying to give you another perspective as to the candles. But you all talked a little bit about how you know when you get stuck. Let's revisit that again. And when you're thinking about your particular situations that you've been stuck, how did you know you were stuck in those particular? So let's not talk about it broadly. Let's kind of narrow in into your specific situations. How did you know you were stuck?
It started affecting like my personal life and my emotions and my like relationships with people. It was like I was me, but then again, I wasn't myself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, I'm trying to reflect. It's like I feel boxed in. Like I can't get out. Like I need to do something about this because I can't keep living like that.
Not yourself, feeling boxed in. That's good.
For me, I think I grew up very busy all the time. There was never a moment where I had time to rest, if that makes sense. Um, I guess now I noticed that I've been sleeping for days at a time and I will not get up. And my room has always been messy, but like at this point it has become like disgustingly messy, especially with my partner living with me. It's gotten so much worse because we're two very depressed people. So, and we're both kind of sleeping days at a time, not getting up. I don't eat for days at a time. I kind of like a Walking Dead person because I just I don't find enjoyment in I don't want to say enjoyment in living, but it's like waking up every day is kind of like a chore to do, and just trying to even walk downstairs right now is a chore for me, and that's how I kind of know that I'm stuck right now.
Okay.
You want a hug?
Oh, sweet.
For me personally, it's like when I know I feel stuck, I start crying. I'm a crybaby. I cry or I feel real down because it's like you feel like you can't do nothing else. Like there's nothing else you could say. There's nothing else you could do. And it's like me personally, when I know something can never get fixed or can't like not fixed, can never like change, I get angry about it, or it's like it's that feeling that you literally can't do nothing else about it. Like another situation is like my dad. He never been there. My first time I ever met my dad, I was 13, and it's like even now. Don't get me wrong, I forgave him. I know every parent isn't perfect, and I'm pretty sure like he made a mistake in college. I forgave that, but it's the fact of him not trying to fix that. You know what I mean? At this point, you got a child who finna graduate high school, finna go to college, finna go out there, and he hasn't even asked what type of college I got accepted to. Like he not even thinking about me or anything like that. So it's kind of, and like my mom tell me, she understand why I'm so upset, but it's some things that you can't change people as much as you tell people stuff, much as you try to get their attention. It's stuff that you just can't do, and it really makes me mad. So it's like I get real down, and that's what all I think about now. Like I be having my little daydream moments. I just be like what can I do, G? So I know that I get real down, and I kind of want to talk to nobody, or I just like say whatever to everything.
Cheyenne?
Oh, Alyssa, can I give you 2 phrases that people would tell me when I would feel like that, like in regards to wanting to change someone, but they don't want to change. That's what, or at least that's what it seems like. So the first phrase is, you could lead the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. That's one. And then the second one is, you can only help someone if they want to receive the help. So that's just something to think and ponder about.
I think as an extension of that, wanting the help and ready for it.
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of times you could want it, but you may be stuck and not ready or able to pull out of that place to be able to receive it. Alondra said, I think it's good to identify what makes you happy as well and what can pull you out of those feelings. Absolutely. And so I actually, in just a second, want to transition to that. What do we do to pull ourselves out of feeling unstuck? But I wanted to go back and kind of ask Alyssa this question, but all of you all can talk about it as well. When you talk about, it's nothing else you can do about it. Like you were describing your situation, you said, it gets to a point where you feel like you can't do anything else about it. Is it really the fact that you can't do anything about it, or you feel like you can't do anything about it?
With my dad's situation, I can't. Like at this point, I'm tired of being a bigger person. I'm 18. You finna be 40 something. You feel me? Like he in his 30s, but he getting old. And I'm sorry.
Okay. That just tickles me every time y'all say that. Okay, keep going.
I look at him as old because he look old. Okay, but that situation, I can't do anything else about it. Like I feel like that's something he needs to fix, and I need to grow into the point where I need to stop thinking of trying to impress him and show him like you got a good child. You feel me?
So that's what you can do about it. That is what you can do about it. You cannot change him, but you still can do something about this situation by changing you.
Change me for him?
No, not changing you for him, changing you and how you deal with him, how you deal with the situation, how you accept the situation.
No, I'm working on it. It's still times that I be like, I'm your daughter, G. You understand? But it's like I am, starting to get over it. I'm starting to kind of really think about like maybe he actually just going through something, or maybe that he just feels so. He made me feel helpless about a situation where it's like he's scared to even face me. I thought about that at times too. Like he probably feels so wrong that he probably don't even want to, face me after what he did and stuff like that.
Could be.
Yeah. And with my mom's situation, I feel like I'm stuck because it's like she's so hard. Don't get me wrong, she easy to talk to, but it be days where like I try to talk to her about something, and she's on her phone. She really not even listening, Or when I ask her something, we try to get in conversation about. I'm trying to talk it out, and she just start raising her voice. Like she don't even notice that she do it, but like she show her anger too much. You know what I mean? And they always, in my family, always tell me about my facial expressions, but y'all wonder who I get it from. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like that's how I feel. I feel like I can't do none of this about it because she's not willing to open up with me. And it's okay. She a parent, and I'm a child, stay in the child's place. But I mean, at this point, I need to understand why sometimes. I need to hear you out a little bit more, or can you listen to me? You know what I'm saying? Or just like kind of chill out, because I'm a good kid. I don't do a lot of stuff. I really don't. And I'm a good kid. I just want her to trust me. That's all. So I feel like I'm stuck. So
yeah.
That's that one. I feel like I'm stuck.
I think for Alyssa, the whole situation with your dad, I mean, I live with my dad and he's not present. He would fall asleep at all my shows. He would tell kids in I would choreograph dances. So he would tell kids in my dance that they looked amazing, they look wonderful, it's so impressive. And then I'd be right there and he'd be like, and kind of just like walk away. And so it's like, and my dad was very abusive, and it's kind of like where I came to the point of so much hurt because he favors my younger sister and my brother, and my sister who went missing, she just left. He thinks about all of them, but when it comes to me, he kind of just blows me off. And I didn't have a sit down conversation, which is probably what I should have done, but I yelled at him. And I think for me, it was more of a relief because it's like I told him, this is what you did to hurt me. This is how it hurt me. And kind of, if you ever get that chance to have that conversation with your dad, I would suggest kind of telling him, look, this is what you did. I needed you. Look, I could see if you're going through something. Let's try to work on our relationship. Like, what are you going through? Tell me about you. I want to know more about you. And I want to be more involved in your life, just like I want you involved in my life. But if that doesn't seem like something that you want, please tell me now so I can move forward as a person. And if you ever get that chance to have that one-on-one with your dad, try to have that one-on-one with your dad. I did, and well, I didn't do it right. I screamed at him, and I just
You
had
had
a
to.
breakdown. But he apologized. He was like, "Look, I know this is what I did. I know I was a bad parent, and I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm getting emotional." He's like, "I'm sorry I did all of this to you. I'm sorry that it affected you this way." And I mean, it still gets me emotional today because that's something that I never thought I would ever get. And it's relieving. It's relieving to finally get that. And like Evelyn said earlier, parents are not perfect people. They go through their own things and they have a lot of things to work about. And like you said, you know that your parents are not a perfect person. And stepping back and thinking, you're one step closer of thinking, well, what did I make him feel really bad about what he did, or does he feel too bad to come and see me? Is a good step forward, because even now I think, does like I thought back then, does he feel bad even about what he did? I mean, because he lives with me, he sees, you know how far down I got up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And since we had that conversation, he saw that I was able to move forward. It still affects me, and I still kind of resent my dad, but it is a step forward to have that sit down conversation with the parent that's hurt you the most. And it is one step forward for you to be able to move forward. And if he decides not to answer or not to put in that effort, then you just got your answer right there. You know, it doesn't matter to him. Fine. Then try to come to peace with yourself. Look how far I've come without that parent. Look how far. Yeah, I wish I had that relationship, but let's be honest. This person doesn't want this relationship with me. And okay, that's fine. And keep moving forward, because look at how far you've come without him. You made it into a really nice school. You get really good grades. And that's a good thing. And you're very beautiful. It's not like you went downhill and just, and, went to the bad spectrum of not having a father.
Ooh.
You're thriving right now. And you could still go forward without that parent, especially if they don't look for their child, or especially after that, if you propose the idea to him and he doesn't answer, or you see that he reads it and doesn't answer within a week, then you have your answer. Okay, it's
Yeah.
time to move forward.
Cheyenne, I was watching you.
I had daddy issues too and mommy issues. Um, when I was little, I always was a daddy's girl, and then as I started early adolescence, there was like a flip flop. I started like hating and like resenting my dad, and then I got closer to my mom. But then as the prepubescence ended and I started getting into an early teenager, I was cool with my dad. It was like whatever at that point. But then me and my mom really started to butt heads. So everything that you two like talked about was really relatable. I'm at the way how I got over things, I just like numbed myself. which is bad. You got to feel everything out and like process everything. But like I really I had to like numb myself because it was too painful. Sophia, you talked about having a sit down conversation with your parent and letting them know how you feel. I would do that with my mom and she would scream in my face and be in denial.
Same.
So I'm like, you're the adult, but you're making me, the child, feel crazy for telling you how you made me feel.
Right.
And now as I think about it, it makes no sense. Excuse me, I was about to curse. It makes no sense. I don't know. I really don't know how I got through my childhood. Honestly, it's the grace of God. Like at this point, now that I think about it, I had a really rocky childhood and even rockier teenagehood, and I'm very grateful that I'm here because there were several times where I had ideations and thoughts and attempts to not be here, but you know I'm still standing. So that's like an ode to my parents and like sort of like an FU. Like I'm still here. I'm still grinding. I'm still shining. I'm putting myself through college. Alyssa, don't cry, baby. We're gonna talk. Don't cry. But honestly, just stay strong. And putting this all in perspective and retrospect, all the mistakes that my parents made within my childhood and how they raised me, I know how to maneuver better when it's time for me to have my own kids. So that's how I look at it now. So, yeah.
I think it's really interesting. You know, we decided we were going to talk about feeling stuck and how to get unstuck. And it's so many places this conversation could have gone. And I find it really interesting that for you all, and you all don't even know how I can identify with a lot that you're sharing, that the area is centered around relationships with parents. And, you know, looking back, you know, to my adolescent stage and, you know, even me as a parent, it's just important that you guys, so we're talking about getting unstuck, right? But a lot of what we're discussing today, you know, I feel like you guys can benefit from, you know, further processing it with a professional that can help you through it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you don't, these can become unaddressed things that you think you dealt with, but you really didn't. And then it could perhaps spill into how you parent. Yeah. And then what it does is it continues a cycle. You know, you all even made me think about a 21-year-old that I'm working with right now. She has just compulsive self-harming behaviors, to the point where she puts needles in her arms and she leaves them there, you know. And her mom, her suggestion was, well, don't stick them all the way in, only stick them halfway in. So that way we don't have to go to the emergency room. And that's unhealthy, obviously. But a lot of the self-harming stems from beliefs that this young woman developed based on her relationship with her father and her feeling stuck there. And so, you know, a lot of the things that we discussed as far as indicators that we're feeling stuck can look like mental health issues. It doesn't always have to be, right? So one way that I know that I'm stuck is when I set a goal. If I say, this is really, really not a good example, but it's the only thing I could think of right now. If I say, I'm going to drink 8 cups of water, I'm going to get my water intake up. And then I only keep drinking 1 or 2 cups of water. And it doesn't matter how many plans I try to make on getting them water cups in. I don't achieve, like, I know I'm stuck when I keep trying to do something and I'm just not doing it. It's like I'm hitting a brick wall. Or I retreat too. You know, Alyssa, I don't, sometimes I can't talk about what's going on with me for whatever reasons, whether I think I'm gonna cry or whatever. And I don't have a problem being a crybaby. But I think it's just really important. We're talking about these parental relationships and how impactful they are and how you move through the world. Just wanted to really encourage, like Sophia said, if you haven't talked to your parents, try. Sometimes you can try until you're blue in the face and nothing works. Sometimes you'll get that apology, and sometimes that's all you want is acknowledgement of how you feel and that apology. But the truth is, you may not get it. And so one thing that I put in while you all were talking, I did not want to interrupt that moment of support that you all were giving, but I wrote in the chat about learned helplessness. And that's when a person starts to feel powerless. And that could be because you experienced something traumatic, or you have just tried and tried and tried and tried to do something and were unsuccessful. And I was asking everybody to share their thoughts in the chat about if you all think that's the same thing as feeling stuck. And as we transition into now talking about how to get unstuck, I want to say that to you all. I felt myself in a place when I was talking about feeling stuck recently, where I had to say, this is learned helplessness. Like I have all of these things, my health, my back, I can't do this because he or she's doing this and making me feel, like I'm so over this learned helplessness, because that is one thing I am not. I am not helpless. It may take me a minute to figure out what I'm going to do, but please believe when I figure it out, I'm going to do it. And that's what I want you guys to think about. Don't get in a place of learned helplessness. You can pull yourself out, even if it's just that mindset change of, I can't change you, daddy. And believe me, I have some daddy issues too. I could not change him. And I'm still constantly retraining my mind to think about, okay, that was him. His way of responding to me did not have anything to do with me. It was him. And that helps. So anything that you guys are going through, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's a teacher. I had a teacher. I allowed a teacher to make me start tripping and forget who I am. So getting unstuck, how do we do that? I think one of the first places to start is to remember who you are. To remember who you are. And for me, my daughter is kind of my middle daughter. She has a little attitude with me right now because I changed the wallpaper on my computer. Right now, I have an elephant with a giraffe in the background. It used to be a lion. She thinks that I'm so strong and fierce and everything. So she picked the lion for me. But I recently had to change it. And I changed it to the elephant and I changed it to the giraffe because the elephant, it reminds me of strength. You can't move an elephant. The elephant decides when it's going to get the hell out the way. Okay. And the giraffe is my favorite animal because of his height. I used to hate being tall. That used to be something I hated. I was taller than all the boys. I wore ballet slippers at my wedding because I didn't want to be taller than my husband in my heels. And if I could go back, I would wear them heels, okay? Because I could wear a mean heel. But I love the giraffe because it can see above the chaos. Right. And it can see ahead. Mm-hmm. And that's a way for me to think about getting unstuck. Forget the weeds of everything in the moment. Think about, get above it and think about what's ahead. What do I need to do to get out of that chaos? So that's something for me that I think about as far as getting unstuck. What about you guys?
That's deep. I think of giraffe like that.
I love it. They're so cute with their little eyelashes.
Oh, bro.
Or even like thinking about the giraffe quote and connecting it to Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. Mm-hmm. I'm a giraffe. I'm already sitting up at the top. I'm looking down at you, actually. So
Mhm.
who's in the higher position? Me or you? Oh, that's what I thought.
What are some other ways to get unstuck? How do we? What do we tell those young ladies listening
Okay,
about
as
how to get?
corny. Okay, wait, finish what you were gonna say.
Just about how to get unstuck. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as corny and as cheesy as it sounds, and when I was really going through it, my therapist would tell me, my siblings would tell me, they were like, Cheyenne, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
Yes, oh bro, it's
There's
corny, but it's
always
so
light at
true.
the end of the
Oh,
tunnel,
they
but I'm
used to
telling you,
irritate me for the longest.
it
Yes.
would tick me off. It would tick me off because I wasn't seeing no light. I was in complete darkness. I was shut in. I was in the bat cave.
Yes.
However you want to describe it, I was in there. Yeah, I was there. Uh, but now getting, I see the light. I'm not fully out. I'm gonna acknowledge that I'm not perfect, but I see the light. Like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. If I tell you where the turn of my mental health happened compared to where I am now, you'd be like, wow, Cheyenne, that's so inspirational. Like, there were times where I almost went to the Institute of Living. Like, I almost took my life a couple of times, but right now I'm here talking to you guys on this podcast show. There's no cuts or marks on my body. I'm not starving myself anymore. I'm not engaging in other bad forms of self-harm other than cutting myself, because there's other forms instead of, other than, putting a sharp object to your skin. I'm
Yeah.
not involving myself in that anymore. I'm drinking my water. I'm clearing up my acne. Come on. Get in. We're going to therapy. So, yeah.
I think for me, one thing I started doing was getting back into my old hobbies. I don't know if you see that yellow paint over there,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm starting to paint something for my partner to kind of decorate our room. It's been 3 days since I added on to it, but I started. Um, Another thing that my therapist had told me to do was to start a almost like a bulletin board. Every day take a post-it note and write something that you like about yourself. And then on one side, you could take a post-it note and write something that you want to work on. And then below it, how you can start to work on it. And which is something I used for about a year, and it kind of got me going to get out of my addiction, out of my bad relationship. Like Cheyenne said, I was the kid that was self harming, and I've had a few attempts, and nobody knows about that until now. But it kind of helped me realize, look at all the stuff I've done. Like, look at that's cool. Being able to see all the things that you've done, because I'm a visual learner and a visual person. I need to see it in order to believe it. So it's like, wow. You have one color post-it notes for your achievements, one for things you want to work on. And the more I noticed that there were more achievement post-it notes on this bulletin board, the more I realized, you're gonna be okay. Like you got good stuff. Look at all these accomplishments. And I would just say, notice that there are things that you need to work on, but also notice how far you've come from where you were 2-3 days ago, even.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at that. It's basically nothing, but it's gonna be somewhere in a few days. And even just waking up, just getting out of bed, recognize it as an accomplishment. Little baby steps, like we said in the previous episode, baby steps. And those baby steps turn into bigger steps. And just realize, you're going to get somewhere slowly, but surely. Be patient. Um, and overall, just try to find time to love yourself. Because if you have that love for yourself, it's going to help you get farther. It took me forever to love my thinning hair. I'm still in the process. But it's like, the more you love yourself, the more you're going to get yourself out of this hole. And another thing is to recognize your emotions. I just cried today. I haven't cried in about 4 months. I was an emotional kid, I wasn't allowed to cry. I wasn't allowed to laugh too loud. That's something I used to get hit for, and I trying to be able to have emotions and recognize those emotions are something that can help you get unstuck. Try to recognize your emotions, love yourself, be patient.
Yeah.
Very
Um.
good.
Yes, that's good. Something that I've been I just got into is scripting. It's like you write out what you want, like you write out what you want as like it's already happened.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I bought me a journal from my job, and I haven't did it like yesterday. I haven't did it yesterday, but I try to make it a habit to do it every morning, every night. Like every morning, I write out, something I really want. I guess I script, okay, and then that night I kind of talk about things. I talk about my feelings. I titled it "Feelings," about how I felt throughout the day and stuff like that. Um, I've also kind of something I wasn't really good at a while ago was kind of vibing with myself. Like I kind of like just I don't text people. I don't be on the phone like that no more. I kind of like just chilling with myself. Like keep my own self company. I was sitting here and talk to myself for so long. Y'all don't understand. It's
I do
weird,
too.
but I knew.
I do too.
And something I kind of recently got into, like I got my mom bought me a 12, and the camera is so raw. Y'all don't even understand. It's so raw. And then I edit my pictures. Like I would sit here in front of this ring light and take a whole bunch of pictures. And then like later on that day, I just be like, I'm just so pretty. I literally do that stuff a lot now. And something else I noticed I used to do was I will post cute pictures, not to intentionally give people attention, but it's like I know I'm beautiful, but it be times where I feel like when someone else called me pretty, I feel like it kind of confirms it. So now I don't post those pictures. I kind of look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, you girl, you cute, okay." What else have I been doing? Well, today I told myself I'm gonna just I'm gonna clean my room. I'm gonna get my life together, and I'll focus on all my schoolwork, try to catch up. So it's like, having my little me days and just have my little moments. That's what
Good.
I'm doing.
Those were wonderful ways of getting unstuck. Like I can't think of anything else to really add to that other than ask for help if you need it. If you feel stuck and you have tried everything within your power and you could use a little help, be vulnerable and ask. It's nothing wrong with that. Even adults ask for help. And if you can develop that healthy habit early, I think it can help save you a lot of unnecessary, stress as get older. So y'all can do it. And I hope you all can see um, the power of peer support, even from people you don't know that well. I think you guys were really supportive to each other today. It was really beautiful and made my heart smile to see how you all were able to affirm each other, encourage one another, to just keep going because it's hard out here, and support makes it so much easier. So thank you guys for sharing. Thank you for your commitment to this show. And I'm just looking forward to future seasons with you guys. Thank you to all of our listeners. We did it. This is a wrap for season 1. We care so much about impacting the lives of teen girls. So if you have enjoyed this podcast, please share it. Share it with parents, share it with teen girls, professionals that serve teen girls. Our very own Cheyenne is moving on to a new position where she will be coordinating kind of like the after school efforts of girls girls and pouring into their developments. And so, you may not know a parent of a teen, but someone that works with one. And so, Cheyenne, we wish you the best of luck. We know you're going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Please look out for us on social media so you can see what we're up to. We will be launching virtual events where girls can come and do what we did today. Just talk about whatever they want, support one another, vent. We'll be having virtual slumber parties. There will be events for parents. So please make sure that you find us on social media, you like us, and you share. You can find the podcast on YouTube, Get Lit Teens. We're also on Spotify and Google Podcasts. We'll be looking to get on other platforms. One thing that I haven't done often, but just reminding you guys about the Get Lit journal for teen girls. A lot of the strategies that we've talked about during the podcast, they'll be able to practice those. You can find those on the Get Lit Teens website. But if you know anybody who you think will be great for our podcast, please send them our way. And we hope you have a beautiful Saturday, a beautiful week, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.